excited you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about how you became Detoxing Dori. Like, how did this mission, this movement, right, this message even come alive, like come to fruition?
Yeah, that's a good question. And honestly, I never expected it to turn into what it is now. It just exploded into what it is.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me still. But after my cancer diagnosis, I went down all the rabbit holes and learned all the things and realized that unfortunately the Western medical system, especially when it comes to cancer or mental health or most things that are disease related, they don't actually have a cure, and they don't talk about that in any depth. It's more of, let's just band-aid you for now and hope that you feel better. There's no actual resolutions or anything. So once I realized that and I started digging really deep into alternatives and history of all kinds of therapies that are available, I realized that most things have been hidden from us, the truth. And it wasn't until very recently that I started sharing it publicly online. Otherwise, it was more of a private thing for me. I was very hesitant to share things publicly due to judgment and censorship and all the things that come along.
Totally understand that.
Right? All the things that come along with being honest. And I finally jumped off into the deep end. I was diagnosed 12 years ago, so it took me a long time to get to this place where I'm comfortable speaking my truth fully, and it exploded, which is what most people realize is once you follow your actual path and stop worrying about what everyone else is going to say or do or think about you, that's when the magic happens. And that's completely what happened with me. So I'm certified in a bajillion things because I just don't stop. I can't stop. I'm that person. I read and research for fun. Like, that's what I fill my days with. And I'm always learning something else. I'm always in a course to do something new. So I've been coaching actually for a really long time, but now it's the first time that I'm actually putting it out there virtually and like globally. So it's kind of exciting from that perspective for me, of course. And now writing my books and everything, and it's just kind of all coming together right now in my life, and it feels really magical, to be honest.
It's really cool to watch. I mean, I found you through one of your viral videos and I scrolled through your stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And then I knew I had to have you on. So congratulations, first of all, because it's great to blow up, but really what that means is that you're helping a lot of people.
Thank you.
And that a lot of people are looking for the information and the education and the transformation that you. And that's a huge part of what the purpose of this podcast is. And so I'd love to just go back a little bit, and if you're okay to talk about your cancer story. I have several people in my life who I love who essentially it's chemo or radiation. And I have somebody in my life who has had to go back over and over and over, right? And so I'd love for us to dive into your actual story a little bit, like if you don't mind. What type of cancer were you diagnosed with? Like, how did that go? Having these discussions, advocating for yourself, right? Like all of these things, because I think a lot of people could benefit from hearing that portion of your story.
Of course. So it was 12 years ago, 2013. At the beginning of that year, I had actually just gotten through the hardest part of a really horrible postpartum depression after my first pregnancy. And I was finally starting to feel like myself again. That actually was my first initial drop into the natural world, because my doctor literally threw a pack of antidepressants at me and was like, here, try this. And it made it so much worse. So much worse. That's when I was like, I can't do this. You're not helping me. So anyways, fast forward, I was starting to feel better, but there was still something really off physically. I was getting hot flashes, and I was super moody and really tired all the time, and I just felt wrong and I couldn't figure it out. But I honestly thought that I was going through early menopause or something like that. That's what it felt like. And I was only 28 at the time. And in all honesty, I had such a horrible experience with postpartum that I was like, I'm okay with going through menopause. I don't want any more babies. I don't want to go through that again. So I went to the doctor. They did all the tests and everything that they always do. Everything came back fine. There's nothing wrong with you. I know there's something wrong with me.
Yes, yes.
And then they're like, well, your thyroid levels are all fine. Everything's fine. And they're giving me a physical, and they felt a lump in my neck, on my thyroid gland. And so they sent me for an ultrasound, and then the ultrasound confirmed that there was a growth there and it looked suspicious. So then they sent me for a biopsy, and that was a horrible experience. The needle was, I don't even know how long it was. It was insane, just coming at you into your neck. And they couldn't get a sample good enough, so they had to do it multiple times. It was horrendous. And then that was in February that I got the biopsy done in 2013, and I wasn't diagnosed till June, which was wild to me.
Talk about affecting your mental health, like the amount
Yeah.
of anxiety and fear.
Yeah. Welcome to the healthcare system in Canada.
Yes, I have several close friends in Canada, and sometimes I'm like, you guys, what is happening? Like, and they're like, we just have to wait. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's wild. So then I got the diagnosis in June, and they told me then that I had one option. They also told me that thyroid cancer is the best cancer you can get. And I was like, I don't know what you mean by that, but great, thanks. And my only option was to remove my entire thyroid, go through radioactive treatment, which meant that I would have to be quarantined from my family for weeks at a time. My daughter had just turned 2 at that point, and then be on medication for the rest of my life, hormone replacement therapy, because I don't have a thyroid anymore. Right. And at that time, when I was diagnosed, I didn't even know what a thyroid was. I had no idea. I didn't know what it did. I didn't know its function. Nothing. I knew nothing about this super important vital organ that you would die without. And they wanted to remove it. And just there was something inside me that said, that doesn't make sense. Like, how can you live the rest of your life without a vital organ and just rely on medication? And I asked them what would happen if I stopped taking the medication, or if, God forbid, the medication's unavailable one day. Like, what happens then? And they told me I would die a slow and painful death. And I was like, well, that sounds awful. I would like a different option, please.
Yeah.
They said there are no other options, but it still didn't make sense to me, because if my body could grow a tumor and allow that to happen within it, then naturally and logically, you'd think I could reverse it myself as well. And when I spoke to the doctors about that, they just kind of shook their heads and were like, no, there's nothing that you did to cause the cancer. So there's nothing you can do to remove it. And that also didn't make sense to me.
Right. Did they tell you how a person can get thyroid cancer, or was it just like, oh, this just happens?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I had asked that as well, and there's some speculation because I had so much dental work done as a child. I had a bunch of teeth removed and braces and all the things, and constant x-rays of my jaw and my teeth and everything, and never protected from radiation from my thyroid. So your thyroid absorbs radiation. That's its job, right? So that was one of the potential reasons. But for me personally, that I'm sure that added to it.
Yeah.
But I think for me personally, it was more of like a metaphysical thing, where I was always the quiet kid. I never spoke up. I was bullied my whole life. All those things. I had the cord wrapped around my neck when I was born. So it was like a lifelong progression into being controlled and not spoken to or speaking out or anything like that, which led me to manifesting cancer in my thyroid, which is where your voice manifests from. So it makes sense to me from that perspective, more so than anything that I did or didn't do from a physical perspective. Yeah. Because I did lead a healthy lifestyle, not as healthy as now, but I still wasn't unhealthy. I've never been overweight. I've always exercised. You know, it was always those things. So I think a massive portion of it for me was the metaphysical perspective.
Let's pause and talk about that for a second because I think that, I mean, people who listen to my podcast avidly know what you're talking about. But I think sometimes people really think that is like woo woo BS. It really, I'm just like, you guys don't understand. So, the body truly keeps the score. Like we store so much emotion, beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
and metaphysical things in our organs, our fascia, our tissue, our neural pathways, our nervous system. And there's so much science that backs this up, but it's not mainstream. It's not mainstream, right? It's not accepted mainstream. People don't understand, especially for women, because 80% of autoimmune diagnoses go to women, and women are constantly suppressing their needs, suppressing their emotions, swallowing. Women have so much gut health issues, and a huge piece of it is because we just swallow all day, right? And then people don't understand that, yeah, there is a physical piece to it, but it's the majority of our ailments and illnesses are emotional
Mm-hmm.
and spiritual and metaphysical and what we feel from the relational things in our life. And I would love to just hear your perspective. Like, how did you figure that out
How
for
did I figure
yourself?
it out? Yeah. I don't really know how I figured it out for myself. I think part of it was that I wound up going back to therapy myself during my
Mm-hmm.
cancer diagnosis. I had started therapy during postpartum because it was helping me. And I continued through cancer because it just made sense after that diagnosis. It's a traumatic event in your life, being diagnosed with
Yeah.
cancer. And I've always been on the more spiritual side myself, anyways, and finding out that I had thyroid cancer and not having a direct cause for it was again one of those things that didn't make any logical sense. Like, you don't just get cancer like they tell you, it just happens, just bad luck. What?
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make any sense. My body isn't designed for bad luck. My body's designed to thrive and live and
Yeah.
experience this lifetime, not to create disease. Something went wrong, and it's not anybody's fault. It's not my own fault. Like, I don't want to blame myself or anything like that, but there is something. And when I
Well,
started
there's always a
connecting the
cause and
dots,
effect. There's always a
right?
cause and effect. Yes.
Always. And it doesn't have to be something obvious like, well, I've worked in the mines my whole life, so now I have lung cancer, right?
Right.
That I smoked my entire life, so now I have lung cancer. It's nothing like that. I've never been a drinker, I've never done drugs. Like, there was nothing like that. It was like, well, this is why.
Right.
So when I started digging deeper again and doing all my research and all my reading, and you come across all types of things like German new medicine and things that link everything together, not just one thing cause and effect either. It's everything culminated. You're an entire being that's lived an entire life, right? So obviously every single thing that you've experienced is now a part of you. And that includes trauma, and that includes your childhood, and that includes the medications you took when you were a newborn and you were sick. It's everything, right? Everything adds up and stacks up in your life and comes to some sort of conclusion at some point if you don't deal with it. So it just made sense to me that that's been my entire life. I've always been that person. I've always been walked on. I've always been too kind and sweet and innocent little Dory. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
that was me. And you just be the good girl and everyone will like you. Yeah.
Yeah. Until now, you're just
But I think this is a huge part of my continued healing journey
yes,
also. And
yes,
I said this a few times now that I think it's still kind of ironic that I don't actually use my voice on my Instagram page because it's all just like videos and text
right.
over. I don't actually talk in my videos, but my message is still getting across, and I'm still doing podcasts and things like that. So, like,
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
You're still using your voice. You really are. You're still using, and you are very controversial,
Yeah.
right? And so you're using your voice, and I absolutely love it. I think it's incredible. So tell us about how you healed yourself. Like, can you take us through that process?
Yeah. I did all the research, and not just the alternative research. I did the mainstream conventional stuff as well, because
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer in the only way to make an informed decision is to travel down every possible path and choose the right one, not just one that
That's
you
an awesome
think.
perspective. That's a really nice perspective because most people
Yeah.
are, and they really struggle to look at things from multiple angles.
Yeah, it's so true. But for me, that's super important to understand all perspectives before making my own choice and forming an opinion on it. So I went to the oncologist. I went to thyroidectomist. I saw all the specialists. They all said the same thing. They had very little answers for me. And the more I read and did my own research, the more I realized that was the right path for me. And I found there's so much information. And back then, it wasn't like it is today. There was no social media. It was
Right.
very hard to achieve and attain this information. So I treated it like gold. Every time I came across something new, I was like, oh my God, there's something else I
Yeah.
found. It was always
And say the
exciting.
internet was very different.
Yeah, right? Yeah, 12 years ago it was a different world. Like I had just gotten a new, like a flip phone still, basically. It wasn't what it is now. So, with all the information that I gathered, there's a lot that was inaccessible to me out of either the fact that I was in Canada where it was illegal or completely banned, or I couldn't afford it. I couldn't travel to Germany or Mexico. You know, I have a 2 year old and all the things, right? There's so many blockades in my way as well. So what I did was I chose the things that I could do at my
Yeah.
home, from my home for myself. And I picked and chose different things from all the different things that I read that resonated with me, and I implemented and created my own protocol. And it was really intense. It was highly restrictive, diet wise and everything wise. But after 2 months, all of my symptoms were gone. All of them.
Wow.
And then 3 months into it, I was getting routine ultrasounds at this point. And after 3 months, my tumors started shrinking.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yeah. And then after 9 months, I was declared in remission. So it was a wild experience to see it happen myself to myself. And from that was the moment that I knew that I had to do something about it, in the sense of putting it out there to some degree. And that's when I opened my own restaurant and started feeding my community the food that was healing me. And I wanted to share that with everybody and say, food matters so much. What you
Yeah.
put in your body is so incredibly important. It's your fuel, or you're going to cause chaos and disease through that. So I opened my own restaurant. And then within that time period, I also got certified as a nutritionist and all the things, because I just needed to know everything and dive
Yeah.
deeper. And that's when I started coaching people like locally. And I live in a really small community, so it didn't really expand to anything because it's
Yeah.
a small town, but the restaurant was a huge success. Unfortunately, I had to shut down during COVID.
Of course.
Yeah. That's a whole other story. And then now I'm here, and
Hmm.
it's a wild journey. But yeah, I don't know if you wanted like specifics on what I did
Well,
or.
if you feel, I don't know if, yes, like if you feel comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear what your protocol was,
Mhm.
because I think it's important for people to understand that you have the power to heal yourself. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'd love to hear about the diet, and were there, other things you were doing,
Mhm.
in that process?
Yeah. There was tons of things I was doing. The only thing I want to put out there that this was specific for me. So just
Right.
because it worked for me, this isn't necessarily going to work exactly the same for someone else. And I create personalized protocols for other people in my practice. That's what I do. I never It's not that I never share exactly what I do, because it's written in my book and everything like that, but just take it with a grain of salt, in the sense that like you might need some
Right.
other things as well, right? This is
Okay.
what works for me.
Yes. Also, we're not giving you medical advice.
Yeah, no, there's no medical
Okay.
advice here. This is my own personal
Just
experience.
educating. Yes.
Right? So, one of the major things I learned during that process was that your cleaning supplies and your beauty products and your self care products are trash and poisonous. And I didn't know that at the time. I just went to Shoppers Drug Mart and bought whatever was on sale for my face and whatever cleaning products were out there and laundry detergents. Who cared? I didn't know. So that was one of the first things I switched everything in my house. All the Tide was gone, the Gain freshener stuff was gone, room spray, all of it garbage. And then I also got water, like a reverse osmosis system for my water to filter it, and it had the option to alkalize your water. So there was 2 taps on it, one just plain water, one alkalized. So that was one thing. And I changed my entire lifestyle overnight for myself because I just felt that I had to. I'm learning to not be a completely cold turkey person anymore because it can be bad. It can be detrimental to you and shock your system. But back then I was like, I'm doing it. And overnight I was like, this is it, I'm done.
You wanted to heal yourself.
Right?
Yeah.
So I went keto vegan was what I did back then. And it's really hard.
I was going to say, how do you go keto and vegan as a combination?
It's really hard. I'm not going to lie. Really, really hard. And I don't ever suggest doing that long term for anybody ever.
Yeah.
Because that's also what led me into all my autoimmune conditions 12 years after, which is what I'm working through right now.
Okay.
So, anyways, I did go vegan keto. And I made green juices every day, no fruit. It was just non-starchy veggies, and that was basically it. Stir fry salads. I started creating new things because I guess technically I'm still a chef, but I was a chef back then. And hence the restaurant. But so vegan keto, I just ate a ton of vegetables, a salad, stir fries, created my own like weird casserole things, and a lot of juice. And then I did detox baths every single day. So that was Epsom salts, baking soda, hydrogen peroxide, borax, and apple cider vinegar.
You can soak in borax?
I do it all the time. Yeah, it's incredible for your inflammation in your body. You can...
Okay. You can. I make my own laundry detergent and I use borax.
Yeah, same.
So
Yeah.
I didn't know you can drink it though.
Yeah, it's actually just boron, the mineral. It's just a mineral.
Okay.
But again, it's one of those highly controversial things that this podcast might get for me even saying that.
Okay. I like to live on the edge. Is this in your book?
All of this is in my book, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys have to go get her book. Right? I'm going to go buy your book after we're done recording this. Okay, so you would soak in that.
Yeah, every day I ate apricot kernels, which are also highly controversial because they contain, but it's the apricot kernel in the bitter apricot kernel specifically has high amounts of, which has been banned. Surprise. And what it does when you consume it is those tiny amounts of actually do nothing to your healthy cells, but they go in and because the cancer cells can't defend themselves against it. So that
How
helps.
did you find this information with the internet being the way it was?
Literally
I'm fascinated
nonstop.
by this process.
I know. It was literally nonstop research. That's all I did 24/7. That was just, at that time too, I didn't have a job. I was at home with my daughter. So, not that I had all the time in the world because I had a 2-year-old, but it was easier because I wasn't juggling a million things at that time. Just a toddler.
Well, you probably found one nugget which prompted you to think, okay, I need to research whatever, right? Plant whatever it is. And so you start to go down these different, making connections along the way.
Right. And back then, Google wasn't as censored as it is now. So it was actually a lot easier to find certain things than it would be now. And now everything's verified or fact checked, and that also didn't exist back then. So I found something, I'd be like, oh, this is amazing and it's real, right? No like question or doubt about it. Google being like, oh my God, don't read this, you know? Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I also ate broccoli sprouts every day because those are incredible for you.
Mhm.
I was never a huge coffee drinker, but I did drink some coffee. But I was also mostly a sugar person where like my coffee didn't taste like coffee, and I
Yeah.
had a huge sweet tooth. So that
Yeah.
was a really big eye opener for me, and that was probably the hardest thing for me to change, was not consuming any kind of sweets, even fruit. That was really challenging for me. But yeah, broccoli sprouts and no caffeine. Green tea though is really beneficial, so I would have green tea from time to time. Another huge portion was Isaic tea, also known as like the Hawksley method, where it came from an ancient Ojibwe traditional tea for ailments. And a nurse, actually a Canadian nurse, learned this from that Ojibwe woman, and she brought it to Ontario. Of course, she got cut out of that, and the FDA came and took all her possessions and tried to cut it down. And she found a motel up north here in Ontario where they allowed her to practice, and she had other doctors who were trying to help her, and she cured hundreds, thousands of people of like late stage cancer who were given no alternatives, who were basically on their deathbeds. And with
Wow.
this, so I drank that every day as well. What else did I do? I got like more into the slower movements, like
Yeah.
yoga and meditation, and really healing from that perspective as well, just slowing down my nervous system. I've always been a very anxious child and an anxious adult. So learning about the fight or flight mode, I was constantly stuck in flight all the time.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of so many things. And then,
Right.
of course, the supplement portion too, like vitamin C and vitamin D and high dosing of those. And there's so many things. I also did reishi mushroom extract every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So, all these things I did every day. But the reishi mushroom specifically, in combination with colostrum, I did that on the hour, every hour while I was awake. So probably like 12 to 16 doses every single day of that. And I think it was all massive together as a protocol, but that was probably maybe not the biggest. I don't know, it's hard to pick. They all were magic. So,
I love it. So after 3 months or after 9 months, have you, well, I've noticed you eat meat on your videos. So tell us a little bit about how you reintegrated certain things, but maybe differently, right?
yeah. So back then, I thought that having gotten vegan was the key, not the
Totally.
fact that it was keto vegan. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't make that connection back then, 12 years ago. And now I've learned, well, not now, like the last few years, I've learned that it was actually the process of ketosis that
Yeah.
actually was the magic pill in that scenario, in most scenarios. And so, probably about 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I started getting really sick again, but in a different way. And I was gaining weight, which is really unlike me. And again, I wasn't overweight, but it was just extra weight for myself. It's just something I wasn't used to. No matter what I did, I couldn't get rid of it. And I was constantly tired and moody, and I just didn't feel like myself, and my gut was a mess, and constant diarrhea or constipation. It was one or the other. I didn't know where things were going that day. And I took a bunch of tests. Like I had leaky gut and the precursors to SIBO. And I then was told that I have mast cell activation syndrome and major histamine issues. And it was just like, it was so much all at once. And I realized that it was my diet. Because it wasn't that I was eating crap food. I still wasn't eating Oreos and potato chips. You know, I wasn't a
Right.
crappy vegan. I only was, right, like literally a nutritionist. Like I was eating whole foods, but it was not enough nutrients, and my stomach
Yeah.
lining was so damaged from years of being a vegan, low fat, high fiber vegan, that my gut lining was a disaster.
There's
And
gonna be some vegans very upset by what you're saying right
absolutely.
now.
Oh, 100%. And that's okay
Yeah.
because I was one of them too. I totally understand where
Yeah.
they're coming from. I created a vegan restaurant in my town, owned
Yeah.
and operated that. I did Veg Fest in my town. Like that was me. I was the queen vegan. So I get it. I understand
Totally.
the emotion behind it. I understand all of it. But I also understand that animal products are the most nutrient dense, bioavailable foods on the planet that we are ancestrally programmed to eat. And having witnessed my own body transform simply
Yeah.
by reintroducing animal products, and then I did a full carnivore reset where I was fully carnivore for, I think I did it for 5 months myself, and that was the most mind-blowing experience other than, you know, putting myself into remission, but it reversed all of my autoimmune conditions, and I haven't been able to look back since. So now I still do a very heavily meat-based diet, but it's still keto as well because I
Mhm.
it's important to me
Yeah.
to stay that way, and it feels the best. And right now I'm deep in a crazy detox right now, but this is honestly the best that I've ever felt in my entire life, and I'm
Mhm.
40.
Yeah,
So
you look like you're like 32.
thank you. I appreciate that.
And I have noticed in your videos, like you have this carrot salad that you for detoxing estrogen, right? So, you clearly are eating some vegetables.
Mhm.
So how do you decide, like, how are you deciding what kind of vegetables to eat?
Right. So the great thing about doing the carnivore reset is that you're starting from scratch. You have
Mhm.
such a limited diet, basically, highly restrictive, but incredibly nutritious, where you're not lacking anything in your needs nutritionally or minerally. So once you start adding things back in slowly, it's very evident what you can tolerate and what you can't, and what you
Yeah.
react to, and so on and so forth. So for me, I've learned personally I can't do nightshades. I'm actually allergic to them, turns out. All those years of my dry, itchy eyes that were burning for no reason, it was nightshades the whole time. So
Yeah.
I stay away from those because I don't want to have an allergic reaction. I try to limit my consumption of foods that are high in histamines because they also set me off. So it's also very dependent on the season that I'm in. So seasonally, actually, like summer, winter, whatever. Also, what detox I'm doing. If I'm doing a detox, that also matters because there's certain foods you have to avoid during certain cleanses. So it varies throughout the year. There's not like one time that I'm like, I'll eat this way forever,
Right.
because it changes. And I've learned that now over the years that it will always change. I used to think like, this is the only way I'll ever eat for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that's it. And now I've learned that that's not realistic at all because your body changes.
Well, and our body changes with the season. And
Exactly.
yeah, this is fascinating to me. So, how do you, if you're incorporating vegetables, how are you staying in ketosis? Like carrots,
Mm-hmm.
how is that?
Oh, that's fine. Carrots are actually pretty low in carbs,
Okay.
surprisingly, and it's not like I'm eating 5 pounds of carrots, right? So it's
Right.
two at a time, and I don't eat the high starchy vegetables. So like yesterday, for example, I ate 3 solid meals, average usually between 24 to 2,800 calories a day on my diet, and that included, I had a half a pound of steak, I had half an avocado, I had some salad at dinner and asparagus and deep fried. I know that sounds crazy, but it was deep fried in tallow.
Yeah.
Chicken thighs, I really focus on the fat and
Yeah.
the protein. So I think yesterday I had 140 grams of protein and 192 grams of fat in one day. And like, I think I came up to like 12 grams of carbs. So it's balancing everything. And it took me a long time to get to where I'm at now to fully
Yeah.
understand how to do that in the best way possible. But I've also realized that this is the way that I personally feel my best. It's not to
Yeah.
say that this is for everyone or this is the right thing for everybody, but for me personally, I've experimented with everything, and this is how I feel the absolute best. And I don't want to feel like garbage. So,
Yeah.
you know,
So, with the people who you work with, I'm assuming that people have all different types of challenges that they're coming to you with.
absolutely. Yeah.
And how do you support that? I mean, obviously you make them a protocol, but do you, I guess, tell me a couple of different types of like people or cases or challenges, maybe like one or two examples. That's more what I want to ask. Like maybe somebody with some brain health issues or somebody in perimenopause, right? And now there's tons of weight gain and some mental health stuff, and she's waking up at 3 a.m. or whatever. Like how do you, some things overlap, but how do you address those things differently, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so like you said, every person is different and every person's history is different. So my consultations are extremely in depth, which I think take a
Mhm.
lot of people by surprise. I've had
Yeah.
a lot of clients say, like, no one's ever asked me these questions. Even functional medicine practitioners don't go down those paths because they do truly matter to me. I want to know about your childhood. I want to know if you were a sick child. I want to know if you were on antibiotics. I want to know everything. What's your relationship like right now with yourself, with food, with your partner? All those things matter. And I'd like to know all the surgeries that you've had. Have you had dental work? We go down every single possible avenue to get to
Hmm.
the root cause. Because I always say, until you start digging for the truth, you're only going to remain on the surface. And if you
Hmm.
can't get to those roots, you will never solve your problem.
Yeah,
So
totally.
there's some people that I'm too much for, and that's okay. They're not ready to dig. That's totally okay. They don't work with me. And I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. I warn people about that. I'm like, if you're not ready to go really, really, really deep, then this isn't going to work. So
Yeah.
I work in 90-day containers where we do this super in-depth 60-minute consultation, and I create a personalized 90-day protocol. Every single one is different from the last. There's never any repeats, and it's
Hmm.
based on you and your history and what you would
Hmm.
like to achieve from it. So within those 90 days, there's multiple phases as well. So we start with phase one. I give a general guideline as to how long that phase typically will last, but every person's different. So someone might need to stay longer in phase one than anticipated because their body's taking longer to absorb that information and change, right? So
Yeah, totally.
it's all different, but I base everything on all the things that I've been taught and learned over the years, which includes traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, supplementation, iridology, and tongue diagnosis. It's everything. Homeopathy, herbalism, all the things I
Hmm.
combine into one because I truly believe that there's so much incredible medicine in this world that's given to us naturally or created in a way that's not toxic. And when you combine them all together synergistically within you, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah. Do you ever find that people get overwhelmed with the changes you want them to make?
I try to go really, really slow. And it
Hmm.
depends on the person. If they've never done any sort of change or detox in their life, we go really slow.
Yeah.
But I do find that most people who come to me are basically at either at their very bottom or they've tried everything. And
Yeah, they're like ready.
right, they kind of know me from my page and they know that I can be considered extreme. But I never get someone who's like, I'm not changing anything.
I know if I had a consultation with you, I had better be ready to
Right,
make the
yeah. So that doesn't really happen. Most
Yeah,
people
I mean, you
know.
you pre-qualify a lot of people by the type of content that you make. Like they know what to expect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, so you're
So
not
I
trying to convince anybody.
no, I get it all. I've seen all men and women with all kinds of different conditions, autoimmune conditions, cancer, even people who just feel like they're just losing their hair or weight loss or whatever it is, but there's always something below that they probably
Yes.
haven't. talked about or gotten to.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of things. It's hard to really answer those types of questions because everyone is so different, and I never repeat a protocol for anybody ever. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so where can people find you?
so I'm on Instagram, obviously, and I'm still currently working on my website. That's under construction, and I just started a private Telegram group where I share more highly controversial things that I would get banned for on other social media platforms. Yeah. And there I also share weekly free books, not from me, but like books that I love and resonate with that I just want everyone to have.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
protocols and kind of behind the scenes of me and what I'm doing. You can sign up for my emails. I'm online. Everything's virtual. So I think the easiest way right now to find me is on Instagram. That's where I'm mostly.
What's your Instagram handle?
Detoxing Dori.
Okay, cool. It'll also be linked in the show notes.
Right.
This is, I said that for everybody who's listening. So this has been incredible. And I think every single one of you need to go out and grab her book like right now. God is using your story to heal so many other people. It's incredible that you healed yourself. And now the knowledge and the journey that you've been on is being used to heal so many other people. And I think it's just a very powerful, beautiful thing that you were brave enough to share it with the world, because the things that you share are controversial, and they're not controversial to me because I'm your ideal person who wants to know things, but it's really hard to be a like mentor or creator, a person putting information out globally that goes against mainstream. It is really hard. It takes a lot of bravery and commitment to your mission to do it, because people do. I mean, people do just go crazy about it sometimes and criticize and question, right? And try to make you prove yourself. And so I, for one, am very thankful that you are doing this and finding your voice and sharing all of this incredible information that's going to help heal the world. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. That means everything to me. I really appreciate that. And thanks for asking me to be here. I love it.
Yeah, I'm so pumped for people to hear this episode. I seriously cannot wait.
Same. Thank you so much. And I haven't said this out loud yet to anybody, but I'm launching my next book at the end of this month. So.
Yay! Okay, cool. So you guys go give her a follow and go buy her book. And yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, we'll see you in the next episode.